Top 10 tilt between Notre Dame and Miami had a little bit of everything. Weather, one-handers, a comeback, and a kick for the win. This C.J. Daniels catch, one we will remember as he hauls it in, controls the catch, and for Miami, another picture of perfection as they go 1-0 against a top 10 team. Taking a look at what happened in the top 10 over the last couple of days. This loss means that 1, 4, 6, and 8 all fall in week 1. The 4 losses mark the most by AP top 10 teams through week 1 in the poll era, which dates back to 1936. As we know, opinions subject to change 60 minutes at a time. Emory Hunt and Brad Crawford in to make those requisite adjustments as we move forward. Gentlemen, it's great to be with you. Implications here starting with ND and Miami. This, Emory, we talked a little bit already about it being the Irish's best opportunity on this schedule to build out a resume. Brad, how big of a loss, is this when you look at it through that lens?
Yeah, I think it makes the game against Texas A&M here in a few weeks in South Bend for the home opener a must-win. I do think 10-2 gets Notre Dame in the playoff as an at-large bid, but if that second loss comes to A&M and you've got to win out from there at an 0-2 start, that likely doesn't happen. And the rest of the schedule, Boise State's already outside the top 25 after losing to USF. So that means Notre Dame would be 10-2 without a quality win unless Southern Cal's good later down the road. So that game in 2 weeks against A&M, it means everything for Marcus Freeman.
And not only it means everything, not only do you have to win, but they have to win in impressive fashion to get people to forget about what just happened out there in Miami. Now, credit to them, it was a close loss to the Hurricanes, and you kind of hope Miami blows out Bethune-Cookman next week. I'm talking 73-7 type win. So, therefore, if you go out there and win a game emphatically against A&M like you did last year, it now kind of gets you back in that conversation, and then you can go on that run. Like you mentioned, Joe, where they lost to Northern Illinois, and then they went on a nice run to where they got themselves into the postseason playing their best ball and got to the national title game. They're going to have to do that again, run it back once again. But it all depends on if they're able to beat A&M emphatically, and Miami has to continue to play strong.
I'm just happy you called it a close loss and not a quality loss. No such thing as a quality loss in football. Flickers of hope elsewhere, and those flickers of hope came over the final 5 minutes for the previously top-ranked Texas Longhorns. It was an ugly watch early on there for Arch and that offense, but do you walk away, Emory, from this one feeling better about the Ohio State Buckeyes than you did coming into the season, or more wary about Texas than you did?
I think kind of the same feeling on both teams. Like for Ohio State, I worry about who's the running back. Where are they going to find that run game? You used to know who was dotting that I for Ohio State. You have to figure who that guy is going to be. Will it be Donaldson for the long term? But that was the question for them. For Texas, I said this earlier in the day, Arch Manning reminds me so much of Alex Smith at Utah in terms of how he plays. Texas needs to lean into that. They have depth in the backfield, great health in the backfield this year, and that'll ease Arch Manning in the ball game, and then you can allow him to operate off play action, hit those over routes coming off the zone read, hit the deep timely shot down the field, and then he'll be able to play like you thought. And so that'll allow you to play complementary football, but right now trying to make Arch Manning play Quinn Ewers' game is not going to be one that's going to have Texas having success.
Now, according to the committee's new scheduling metric, this is a quality loss for Texas. 7 points on the road against probably a team that, might be number 1 in the new AP poll. I do think Texas will be fine. This was a tough ask from Arch Manning's first career road start. The Texas defense was elite. Ohio State had like 210 total yards, 13 first downs. That's one of the best offenses, fellas, Texas is going to play all year. They still got 5 games against top 25 competition, so I still think 9 wins is the magic number for Texas to make the playoff. We've never seen a 3-loss team get in the playoff that did not win a conference title, but Texas could be the first because of how tough that schedule is.
All right, we'll call it a quality loss. I'll give you that, but that was not quality tape. That's going to be a tough watch for those in the room for the Longhorns as they try and adjust off of that. If we are talking quality tape, offenses in rhythm, execution at a high level when the lights are brightest, I'm not sure anyone grades out this week better than Garrett Nussmeier and the LSU Tigers. Guys, that was quality stuff all over the place, a win in the other Death Valley. How high, Brad, should this rise them coming off this win?
I think LSU is going inside the top 5, potentially inside the top 3. Because it was a dominant defensive performance. Cade Klubnik, Clemson's quarterback, was one of the co-Heisman frontrunners, had 36 touchdown passes last season. and they kept him out of the end zone as far as passing touchdowns go. This is a new-look LSU defense, loads of portal talent. You mentioned Garrett Nussmeier. He made several big-time throws in that fourth quarter, but what it came down to, guys, was LSU had a one-possession lead, and Clemson had 3 drives that stalled out in that final frame. LSU kept him out of the end zone. That's Brian Kelly's best win so far at LSU.
And what's fascinating about this, we talk about Ohio State not having a running back. Clemson, who's dotting that I for Clemson? Who's that guy that you worry about? Them not being able to run the football was the difference in that game, because guess who was able to run the football enough? LSU. You have Durham back there. You have a stable of backs that were able to get some semblance of a run game going, to where when you decided to go play action, Nussmeier had some advantageous looks, was able to hit a couple guys that still should have been a touchdown deep in the end zone. He had that guy beat, and he threw a perfect ball. And because LSU now can have balance offensively, and Brad is right, the defense was phenomenal. I'm talking about coverage was outstanding. Tackling was where it needed to be. Harold Perkins is playing the Harold Perkins position. You just have him out there on defense, and he's playing defense. That's all you can ask for. And so when you think about everything LSU has lined up, Brian Kelly not allowing his team to miss an opportunity to close out an opponent, did a great job in that regard too. So they checked a lot of boxes in this opening win, and it's about stacking positive performances. They can't lay an egg in their next game.
You saw it right there. First week 1 win, or first season opening win since Joe Burrow was the quarterback, and he's on his 2nd contract already.
Right.
It's been quite some time. Brian Kelly finally starts off on the right foot. We'll see how LSU builds off of that. We got to show some respect here to Florida State and all those that we share this air with. BMAC, Danny Cannell. I think that they've dried out by this point. There was some rain, there was some libations, there was some celebrations certainly there in Tallahassee. Undoubtedly going to rise up these ranks after that defining win, Emory, over Alabama. But I want to talk a little bit more here about Alabama, lacking the hallmarks of what we've come to expect during Nick Saban's reign, the things that get statues built. None of that was there. How big of a concern is that under Kalen DeBoer, that identity-wise there's something amiss?
Then you had Brian Rockney giving a giving a speech.
Win one for the McFadden.
Exactly, right? But when you talk about Alabama, it's like the Mike Tyson theory, right? Where you used to fear Mike Tyson before you even get to the ring. It's like Alabama used to fear the name on the schedule before you even got off the bus, and fear the uniform before you even got on the field. Now teams are not fearing Bama, and that's a big issue for Alabama. Is now shifted to Georgia. And so because no one respects Alabama, no one fears Alabama, and no one fears the Alabama offense anymore, you saw Caden Proctor have not his best day, and he's supposed to be a top 5 pick, and they were just teeing off on the quarterback back there in the pocket, beating him left and right. So this is an issue for Bama. They've lost the mystique. Florida State exposed that, and we'll see if other teams take advantage of that moving forward, because this Alabama ain't your cousin's Alabama anymore. So we'll see how they kind of find their new identity moving forward.
This ain't the same Alabama, and we all know this, fellas. Jam Miller, the starting running back, he's been out. He missed the opener. That really hurt Bama. And as Emory mentioned, they were not pushing Florida State off the football, despite a bunch of 5-star starters along that offensive line. They've got the most talented team in college football, according to the recruiting rankings, and Bama just hasn't shown it. I mean, 3 losses their last 4 games under DeBoer. He's lost 4 times as a double-digit favorite. This didn't happen during the Nick Saban era, and Alabama fans are already mad about it, and I can see why. This program's leaking oil, and there's no easy fix. And they look closer to a 7-win team right now than they do a 10-win team after that loss in Tallahassee.
It's a tough middle to live in right now, where it's still Bama, still target on your back, but not performing or expecting at the level that we've seen in these past seasons. Everybody wants a piece of Bama, and it's easier to get your pound of flesh these days. Let's talk top 12, those being our prime numbers here. Brad, I'm going to come your way first here. What's it going to look like when we wake up and see that new poll, or at least yours?
Yeah, in my poll, I've got Ohio State number 1. They clearly, took Texas behind the woodshed, had a shutout until late in that game. I think Ohio State's won. I'm moving LSU all the way up to number 2. I don't know if the AP voters are going to agree with me, but that win at Clemson is going to be one they can keep in their back pocket late in the year. And then the top 5 is Miami after that big win tonight against Notre Dame, Penn State, and then Notre Dame slips a couple spots. But this is my, projection for the playoff here in a few weeks when the first poll comes out. I still think Notre Dame is going to be a team worthy of playoff mention. I'm not selling my stock yet on C.J. Carr and that offense.
I like how you move LSU to 2. I moved LSU to 3 in mine because, again, solid defense, good run game. And when you look around my top 12, Texas only falls to number 7. They got to figure the offense out. I move Oregon up over Miami because I feel like Oregon's win, even though it's an FCS win, they dominated the best FCS team in Montana State. And Miami definitely moved up by their defense being able to play. I'm still looking at Arizona State right there at number 11. That's, to me, is the best team in the Big 12. I think they're going to go run the table. And South Carolina, by nature of how they beat Virginia Tech, looking super explosive. I worried about their defense coming into the season. Defense didn't matter. They got those guys ready to go. The new guys stepped up and played really well. They shut down Virginia Tech. So I like what I saw from the offense, figuring out a way to get back to being successful like they were in the opening drive. And defensively, they didn't miss a beat despite losing 6 starters from last year's team.
You know where I stand. The losses cannot be quality, but the conversation, it always is. Emory, Brad, appreciation. A look here at the odds to win the national title after all that we've seen over these last few days. Georgia Bulldogs, Penn State, Nittany Lions, and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Equal odds at 6-1 money. Next closest. Still a whole lot of belief in the Texas Longhorns to get things figured out after that shoddy start. LSU, maybe a little bit of value there, parked at 11-1.